Imagine holding a coin so small, so ordinary in appearance, that most people would pass it by without a second glance. Yet in the hands of a knowledgeable collector, that same coin could be worth millions of dollars. The Lincoln 1975 1-cent coin, a simple copper penny that most people used every day without thought, has the potential to be one of the most valuable treasures hiding in plain sight. This is not just a coin. It is a story of history, rarity, and the unexpected wealth that can come from something as ordinary as a penny in your pocket. The 1975 Lincoln penny is part of a coin series that has fascinated collectors for generations. Designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909, the Lincoln cent was created to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. By 1975, the coin had already been in circulation for more than 6 decades. But it still carried the same proud portrait of the 16th president on the obverse. The reverse featured the image of the Lincoln Memorial, a design that had been introduced in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. What makes the 1975 issue special is not only its age but the errors, varieties, and hidden rarities that can make it worth a fortune. At first glance, the 1975 Lincoln penny seems ordinary. Over 5 billion were minted between the Philadelphia and Denver mints, which means billions flowed through the hands of Americans during that year. With such a high mintage, most people assume the coin holds little to no value. However, coin collecting is a world where rarity, condition, and unique mistakes in production can transform a common coin into a life-changing discovery. The difference between a 1-cent coin and a $1 million coin often comes down to a tiny error, a mint mark, or the preservation of the piece. One of the most sought-after versions of the 1975 Lincoln penny is the proof coin minted in San Francisco. These coins, struck with polished dies and intended for collectors, often exhibit deep mirror-like surfaces. What makes some of these proofs extraordinary is the possibility of mistakes in the minting process, such as missing mint marks, double dies, or variations in the strike. There are stories of collectors discovering 1975 proof pennies with missing S mint marks, which could command an astronomical value in the marketplace. A single such coin, perfectly preserved, has the potential to be auctioned for hundreds of thousands or even millions, because of its rarity and demand among high-level collectors. Another valuable factor is the condition of the coin. Most pennies from 1975 show heavy wear, scratches, and loss of original luster, because they circulated for decades in pockets, cash registers, and jars. But in the world of numismatics, condition is king. A 1975 penny graded at the highest levels of the Professional Coin Grading Service (PCGS), or Numismatic Guarantee Company (NGC), with a grade of MS67 or MS68 red, could fetch astonishing prices. These coins, blazing with their original copper red color and virtually flawless surfaces, are considered trophies by collectors. Some have sold for tens of thousands of dollars, and the rarest, most pristine examples could easily climb into 6 or even 7 figures if the right buyer is present. Then there are the minting errors, the fascinating accidents that occur when coins are struck improperly. Double dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or repunched mint marks from 1975 can transform an ordinary penny into a rarity. For instance, a double die error where Lincoln's profile or the lettering appears doubled is one of the most desirable mistakes in numismatics. These errors are not just technical oddities. They are physical evidence of the minting process, frozen in metal, and each one is unique. A dramatic 1975 double die penny could command an extraordinary price at auction, particularly if preserved in high grade. Collectors also look for transitional errors. In 1982, the U.S. Mint switched from a copper composition to a copper-plated zinc design. While 1975 is firmly within the copper era, Some researchers speculate that transitional planchets or experimental strikes could exist, perhaps mistakenly produced or hidden within the mint. If such a coin were ever discovered, a 1975 penny struck on a different metal planchet, it could easily be valued at millions, as similar transitional errors from other years have fetched massive sums. Beyond errors in condition, the story of the 1975 Lincoln penny carries cultural and historical weight. This coin circulated during a time when America was experiencing both turmoil and transformation. The Vietnam War had recently ended. The Watergate scandal had shaken trust in government, and the nation was celebrating its bicentennial spirit as the 1976 anniversary approached. To hold a 1975 penny is to hold a piece of that era, a small but tangible reminder of history. For collectors, this adds intangible value to the coin, because numismatics is not just about metal but about stories. Auction records have shown again and again that collectors are willing to pay astronomical prices for the right coin. In recent years, pennies of similar eras with errors or exceptional conditions have reached prices of $50,000, $100,000 or more. The potential for a 1975 penny to break records is very real. All it takes is one coin perfectly preserved, with the right error or rarity, to ignite a bidding war among wealthy collectors and investors. For the everyday person, the idea that a penny from pocket change could be worth a fortune might seem unbelievable. Yet, time and again, stories emerge of individuals finding treasures in the most unexpected places. A penny from 1975 in a coffee can, a jar of change, or even stuck in a drawer, could turn out to be a rare variety worth thousands or more. This possibility fuels the passion of collectors and keeps the search alive. If you find a 1975 Lincoln penny, the first step is to examine it closely. Look at the mint mark under the date, whether it is from Philadelphia, no mint mark, Denver, D, or San Francisco. Check for doubling in the lettering or details. Look for off-center strikes and examine the coin's color and luster. If the coin appears unusually perfect, bright, or error-filled, it could be worth submitting to a professional grading service. For coins with extraordinary features, the certification process can confirm authenticity and unlock true market value. It is worth noting that, while most 1975 pennies will never be worth more than face value, the dream of finding a life-changing rarity continues to inspire collectors. The thrill of the hunt, the beauty of the design, and the possibility of stumbling upon a $1 million coin keeps the Lincoln cent at the heart of American numismatics. For many, the 1975 penny is not just currency, but a mystery waiting to be solved. In the end, the Lincoln 1975 1-cent coin teaches us a powerful lesson. Value is not always obvious. A small coin that people overlook every day can carry within it the power to change a life. History, rarity, and human curiosity come together to transform copper into treasure. So the next time you come across a penny, do not dismiss it. Hold it to the light, look closely, and remember that the tiniest piece of change might hold a story worth millions of dollars. The story of the Lincoln 1-cent coin is one of the most remarkable sagas in the history of American numismatics. And within that legacy, there exists a fascinating chapter that revolves around the year 1976. At first glance, the 1976 Lincoln cent, struck in large quantities at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, might appear to be just another ordinary penny that millions of Americans carried in their pockets during the bicentennial year. Yet when one begins to peel back the layers of history, production quirks, errors, and collector demand, the coin reveals a much deeper intrigue. For many, it is the symbol of a humble piece of copper that, under extraordinary circumstances, can transform into a $1 million treasure. The 1976 cent carries with it the echoes of the nation's 200th birthday, the era of transition from copper to copper-plated zinc, and the enduring image of Abraham Lincoln gazing outward across the timeline of history. To understand the significance of the 1976 penny, one must first appreciate the cultural context of the time. America was celebrating its bicentennial, marking 2 centuries since the Declaration of Independence. Commemorative coinage was already in circulation in the form of special quarters, half dollars, and silver dollars, all bearing the dual date of 1776. Yet, curiously, the Lincoln cent was not included in the commemorative redesign program. Instead, it continued to feature the traditional Victor David Brenner obverse portrait of Lincoln, a design that had been introduced in 1909 and had already become one of the longest-running motifs in U.S. coinage. The reverse of the cent in 1976 was still the familiar Lincoln Memorial design by Frank Gasparro, introduced in 1959, which paid tribute to the grand marble temple that enshrines the great emancipator in Washington, D.C. This continuity of design gave the 1976 cent a sense of quiet persistence during a time when much of the nation's coinage was undergoing a festive reimagining. It is precisely this understated presence, contrasted with the dramatic commemoratives of the bicentennial series, that makes the 1976 Lincoln cent so fascinating. Millions were struck, and countless examples circulated freely across the country, often overlooked as people gravitated toward the larger, flashier coins with special dates and designs. But within those mountains of coins, unusual varieties and mint errors began to emerge. It is these oddities, double dies, off-center strikes, wrong planche errors, and other rare mishaps that have given rise to the extraordinary valuations that sometimes reach into the hundreds of thousands and, in legendary cases, even $1 million. The $1 million cent, therefore, is not a myth, but a possibility, rooted in the dynamics of scarcity, condition, and collector demand. Consider the composition of the 1970s, struck primarily in 95% copper with 5% tin and zinc. The coin carried a mass of 3.111 grams, consistent with earlier years. The switch to copper-plated zinc would not come until 1982, but already in the mid-1970s, conversations about rising copper prices and the cost of minting cents were intensifying. That historical backdrop gives additional resonance to the 1976 issues, as they represent one of the last eras when the penny truly contained a meaningful amount of copper. In pristine condition, the luster of a freshly struck 1976 copper cent gleams with a rich, reddish tone that appeals to collectors who prize original surfaces. When such a coin survives in a flawless, uncirculated state, graded at the highest levels such as MS67 or MS68 red, it becomes an object of intense competition at auction. The phenomenon of the $1 million penny hinges on 3 key factors: rarity, error, and demand. Rarity is perhaps the most obvious, for collectors seek that which is scarce, and even within a massive mintage, genuine scarcity can emerge through survival rates. Most 1976 pennies were spent, scratched, dented, or otherwise worn down through everyday use. To find one preserved in immaculate condition is a feat in itself. Add to this the possibility of a striking error such as a double die obverse, where Lincoln's features appear doubled, or a dramatic off-center strike where the portrait is partially missing, and the rarity increases exponentially. Errors of this magnitude, combined with top-level preservation, can create coins so unique that they cross the threshold from collectible to legendary artifact. Demand completes the equation, as enthusiastic collectors, investors, and institutions vie for ownership, sometimes pushing the price into the realm of millions. Take, for example, the stories of other Lincoln cents that have commanded astronomical sums. The 1943 bronze cent, struck in error during the wartime steel cent experiment, is one such piece that has repeatedly fetched over $1 million at auction. Similarly, the 1955 double die cent, while not quite as rare, remains one of the most famous error coins and can command staggering sums depending on its condition. These examples illustrate the principle that certain pennies, humble as they may be in denomination, can become as valuable as paintings, jewels, or classic automobiles when the right combination of error and preservation is achieved. Thus the 1976 Lincoln cent, with its own share of varieties and mishaps, exists within this tradition, and carries the potential to become a $1 million piece. Among the known varieties of the 1976 cent are double dies and repunched mint mark. A double die obverse can create a ghostly doubling of the inscriptions, Liberty, or In God We Trust, making the coin immediately distinguishable from its ordinary counterpart. Repunched mint marks, particularly on Denver issues, occur when the D was impressed more than once, slightly offset, resulting in a peculiar and collectible anomaly. In the realm of errors, there exist spectacular off-metal strikes, where a 1976 cent might have been accidentally struck on a dime planchette, or even on a foreign coin blank, creating a hybrid that defies expectation. Coins of this nature are exceedingly rare, and when authenticated can become headline pieces at major auctions, drawing bids from around the world. Another dimension of the coin's allure lies in its connection to the bicentennial era itself. While the cent did not feature the dual date or special design, its quiet continuity made it a companion piece to the official commemorative. For some collectors, assembling a complete set of 1976 coins, from the special quarters to the ordinary penny, is a way of capturing the essence of America's 200th birthday in tangible form. The Lincoln cent, with its timeless portrait, becomes a grounding element in that set, a reminder of endurance and tradition amid celebration. When a high-grade or error example is included in such a collection, it elevates the entire ensemble to a new level of significance, both historical and monetary. The journey of a 1976 penny from pocket change to $1 million artifact often begins innocently enough. A child may find a shiny coin in their allowance and set it aside. A hobbyist may discover a strange doubling on the lettering while examining a roll of cents from the bank. A family might stumble across a jar of old change in an attic, unaware that among the worn coins lies a pristine error cent worth a fortune. Such stories add a layer of romance to numismatics, reminding us that great treasures can hide in the most ordinary place. Each discovery renews the allure of the hunt, inspiring countless individuals to search their change, roll by roll, in hopes of finding the extraordinary in the mundane. The role of grading services also cannot be understated. Organizations such as the Professional Coin Grading Service (PCGS) and the Numismatic Guarantee Company (NGC) provide professional authentication and assign numerical grades to coins based on condition. A 1976 Lincoln cent that might appear shiny to the untrained eye could, under microscopic examination, reveal minute flaws that prevent it from reaching the top levels of the grading scale. Conversely, a coin that achieves a lofty grade such as MS-67 red instantly leaps in value, sometimes commanding thousands of dollars at auction. When combined with an error variety, the value can surge into 6 or 7 figures, creating the possibility of the $1 million cent. Even as collectors chase the rarest and most valuable examples, there is also a profound symbolic value attached to the 1976 penny. Abraham Lincoln, whose visage graces the obverse, embodies the principles of unity, liberty, and perseverance. The Lincoln Memorial on the reverse echoes those ideals, reminding Americans of their shared history and the sacrifices made to preserve the nation. In 1976, those symbols carried even greater weight, as the country reflected on its bicentennial and sought to reconcile its past with its future. Thus, owning a 1976 cent is not merely an act of possession, but a way of holding a small, tangible piece of the American story. For the numismatist, the $1 million cent represents the pinnacle of discovery and achievement. It is the coin that transforms a hobby into a legacy, a family heirloom into a national treasure. The dream of finding such a coin sustains the passion of countless collectors, young and old, across the country. While not every 1976 penny will command a fortune, indeed, most will forever remain worth just 1 cent. The possibility remains, shimmering like the copper-red glow of an uncirculated specimen. It is that possibility, that tantalizing what-if, that ensures the 1976 Lincoln cent will never be forgotten. Thus, the narrative of the 1976 Lincoln 1-cent coin is one of duality. On the surface, it is an ordinary piece of change, struck by the millions passed from hand to hand without fanfare. But beneath that surface lies a world of rarity, error, and extraordinary value, where even the most humble coin can ascend to the status of $1 million masterpiece. It is a story that embodies both the democratic accessibility of coinage, available to everyone, carried by all, and the rarefied heights of numismatic artistry, where the few, the extraordinary, and the perfect command the highest esteem. In this balance of the ordinary and the extraordinary lies the enduring magic of the 1976 Lincoln cent, a coin that continues to capture the imagination and, on rare occasions, command a fortune. Imagine holding a penny in your hand, a coin so ordinary that most people wouldn't even bother picking it up if they saw it lying on the ground. Now picture this. What if I told you that the very same coin you've been overlooking, a simple Lincoln penny from 1977, could be worth not just a few dollars, not even a few thousand, but millions of dollars under the right circumstances? That's not just a fantasy, it's the strange reality of the world of rare coins, where small details, minting errors, and scarcity can turn something as common as a penny into a treasure worth a fortune. Stay with me, because the story of the 1977 Lincoln coin is far more fascinating than you could ever imagine. The Lincoln cent has always been more than just change. Since its first minting in 1909, it's carried the face of America's beloved 16th president, Abraham Lincoln, and it has become one of the most widely collected coins in U.S. history. By the time the 1977 penny rolled out of the U.S. Mint, the design had already been around for decades, featuring Victor David Brenner's iconic bust of Lincoln on the obverse and the image of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, which had been introduced in 1959. To the average person in 1977, this coin was just another copper piece to toss in a pocket, spend at the store, or drop in a jar at home. But for collectors, what matters most isn't just the design, it's the mistakes, the oddities, the unique quirks that turn an everyday coin into a rarity. The year 1977 itself was not particularly remarkable for the penny. Millions upon millions of these coins were struck, and they still exist today in great numbers. However, within that sea of circulation, a handful of extraordinary pieces slipped through the cracks. The ordinary becomes extraordinary when it carries a flaw, and that's exactly what makes some 1977 Lincoln pennies so valuable. Some are worth hundreds, others thousands, and in the rarest cases a single coin can reach into the million. What separates one coin from the rest is often so small, an error so slight you might never notice it without a magnifying glass. But it is that very flaw that transforms the coin into a life-changing discovery. One of the most well-known types of errors in the 1977 Lincoln penny is the doubled die. This happens when the coin is struck twice slightly off-center, creating a doubling effect on the letters, numbers, or design. Imagine looking at the date 1977 on your penny and seeing it shadowed as if printed twice. For collectors, a doubled die is like striking gold. It's a visual marker of rarity, a tangible mistake from the mint that can never be repeated exactly the same way again. Some of these double die varieties have fetched incredible prices at auctions, with certain examples commanding tens of thousands of dollars, and under the right bidding wars even more. Then there are off-center strikes, another type of error that can turn a common coin into a collector's dream. In an off-center strike, the coin's design is not properly aligned during the minting process, leaving part of the image missing and a blank crescent of metal exposed. The more dramatic the off-center strike, the rarer and more valuable the coin becomes. In the case of a 1977 Lincoln penny, an off-center strike that still clearly shows the date and Lincoln's portrait can fetch jaw-dropping amounts. Some of these rare error pennies have been valued in the tens of thousands, and collectors often battle fiercely for the chance to own them. Another fascinating aspect is transitional errors. Coins struck with the wrong planchet or blank metal disc. Though most 1977 pennies were made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, there are instances where coins have been struck on planches intended for other denominations. Imagine a 1977 penny struck on a dime planchet smaller and thinner than it should be, or struck on a foreign coin blank by mistake. These coins are so unusual that they often defy standard pricing, and when they show up at auctions, bidders sometimes push their prices into the 6 or even 7-figure range. For collectors, condition matters almost as much as rarity. A coin graded as mint state by professional grading services can multiply in value instantly. This means a 1977 penny that has never been circulated, that has retained its shine and sharp details for decades, can be worth far more than one that has been worn down in everyday use. In pristine condition, some 1977 pennies have been valued in the tens of thousands of dollars, and when combined with an error or unique strike, the price can skyrocket even higher. But why do people pay millions for a coin that at its core is worth only a cent? The answer lies in history, scarcity, and desire. Coins are more than just metal. They are pieces of the past, small artifacts that connect us to a different time. Collectors chase them not just for their monetary value but for the story they tell. The 1977 penny represents a slice of American history, an era of economic change, political shifts, and cultural transformation. To own one of the rarest era coins from that year is to hold a unique piece of that story, something that no one else in the world can replicate. The most valuable 1977 pennies ever sold have done more than just make headlines. They've changed lives. Stories circulate of ordinary people stumbling across them in loose change, only to discover later that their humble penny was worth thousands or even millions. It's the kind of tale that fuels the imagination. The idea that buried in your coin jar, in your desk drawer, or even in the change you get at the grocery store, there could be a hidden fortune waiting to be uncovered. Think about it. Every time you touch a penny, you're holding a piece of potential history. You may not see the difference right away, but the right detail, a doubling, an off-center strike, a wrong planche can separate a penny that's worth 1 cent from a penny that's worth $1 million. Collectors spend years hunting for these rarities, traveling to auctions, trading at conventions, and scouring their change with magnifying glasses, all for the chance to discover that elusive coin. And this is what makes the 1977 Lincoln penny so compelling. It's not about how rare the coin is as a whole, but about how unique certain examples can be. A coin that most people would dismiss as worthless can, under the right circumstances, become a life-changing find. That's the beauty of numismatics, the art of coin collecting. It transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary, the forgotten into the priceless. So the next time you see a penny lying on the ground, don't walk past it. Don't ignore it. Take a closer look, because that little copper coin might just be the key to your fortune. The 1977 Lincoln penny proves that treasure doesn't always come in the form of gold bars or ancient relics. Sometimes it's hiding in plain sight, waiting in your pocket, worth millions if only you have the eyes to see it. Imagine holding a penny that looks so ordinary, a coin you've probably seen thousands of times before, yet it carries a hidden secret. That small piece of copper could be worth not just a few cents, not even a few dollars, but potentially millions of dollars. This is the story of the 1978 Lincoln coin. A coin that at first glance seems like just another common penny. But under the right conditions and with the right details, it can transform into one of the most valuable treasures in American numismatic history. Collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike have spent countless hours studying coins like the 1978 Lincoln cent, because behind its simple appearance lies the potential to change someone's life forever. The Lincoln cent has always held a special place in American currency. Introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it was the first U.S. coin to feature the portrait of a real historical figure. Before then, American coins mostly displayed symbolic images like Lady Liberty, eagles, or shields. But Lincoln's face on the penny marked a new era, one where the nation's heroes could be permanently etched into its money. By the time 1978 rolled around, the Lincoln cent had already been in circulation for nearly 70 years. Yet every year brought subtle variations, minting errors and rare additions that collectors would chase down like hidden pieces of gold. The 1978 Lincoln cent came at a fascinating time in American coinage. It was still made primarily of 95% copper and 5% zinc, unlike today's pennies, which are mostly zinc-coated with a thin copper layer. This made the coin heavier and more durable, and in some ways more valuable simply because of its metal content. Copper prices were climbing in the 1970s, which meant even the humble penny carried intrinsic worth beyond its face value. But for collectors, the real value of the 1978 penny was never in its copper. The true value came from the possibility of unique minting errors, proof coins, and rare conditions that transformed a 1-cent coin into a priceless relic. One of the key things that makes any coin valuable is rarity. With the 1978 Lincoln penny, there were hundreds of millions minted, which on the surface suggests it should be extremely common. And indeed, most 1978 pennies are worth only their face value or a tiny bit more if they're in pristine, uncirculated condition. But within such massive production numbers, mistakes are inevitable. The U.S. Mint, despite its precision, is not immune to errors. A small double die, an off-center strike, a clipped planchet, or a misaligned die can suddenly create a coin that exists in only a handful of examples. For collectors, these minting errors are like winning lottery tickets. They take a penny that everyone overlooks and turn it into something that could sell at auction for tens of thousands or even millions. In the case of the 1978 Lincoln coin, some of the most sought-after versions are those struck with doubling on the obverse or reverse. Doubling occurs when the die used to stamp the coin shifts slightly, creating a ghost-like image of the lettering or Lincoln's portrait. Collectors scour pennies under magnifying glasses, searching for a doubled Liberty, a doubled In God We Trust, or a faint duplicate of Lincoln's face. These errors are rare, and when combined with a year like 1978, where mintages were high but quality control wasn't flawless, they can become incredibly valuable. Stories circulate in numismatic communities about certain 1978 double-die pennies, selling for extraordinary sums, because once authenticated, they represent not just a mistake, but a piece of history frozen in metal. Condition also plays a massive role in the value of a 1978, a coin that has been passed through countless hands, scratched, worn down, and tarnished, might never be worth more than a cent or two. But take that same penny in flawless, uncirculated condition, one that still carries its original mint luster, untouched by time, and suddenly its value skyrockets. Collectors rate coins on a scale called the Sheldon scale, which runs from a perfect gem-quality Lincoln penny, graded MS-70, is almost impossible to find, but if you did happen to discover a 1978 Lincoln cent in such perfect condition, it could be worth a small fortune. Some rare proof versions, struck specifically for collectors with mirror-like finishes, also command high prices, especially when they have unique toning or flawless surfaces. What makes the idea of the 1978 penny so captivating is the chance that one could still be hiding in plain sight. Unlike older coins from the 1800s, which are scarce simply because of age, millions of 1978 pennies still circulate today. They slip into change jars, vending machines, and cash registers, completely unnoticed. Somewhere out there, a person could unknowingly hand over a penny that might be worth thousands, perhaps even millions, without ever realizing its true value. That sense of possibility keeps collectors searching, checking every penny they come across, and holding on to the dream of stumbling upon a coin that changes everything. Numismatics, The study of coins thrives on these stories. A penny like the 1978 Lincoln is more than just currency. It's a piece of art, history, and mystery combined into one. Every line on Lincoln's face, every detail in the lettering, and every subtle variation tells a story about the minting process, the technology of the time, and even the economy of the era. In 1978, the U.S. was facing inflation, energy crises, and shifting financial reality. The penny, small as it was, reflected those struggles, holding copper whose value itself was becoming a topic of debate. Over time, tales of million-dollar pennies have emerged, fueling the fascination. While not every 1978 penny is worth such a staggering amount, the stories of rare-era coins selling for jaw-dropping sums are real. Auctions have seen ordinary-looking Lincoln cents fetch prices that seem almost unbelievable, all because of a tiny mistake that slipped through unnoticed decades ago. For example, double-die pennies from earlier years like 1955 or 1969's have already sold for thousands. If a pristine, dramatic 1978-era penny were to appear, the price it could command would almost certainly break records. This possibility drives not only collectors but also everyday people to check their change. The idea that a coin worth 1 cent could turn you into a millionaire is the ultimate treasure hunt. Unlike gold bars locked away in vaults or rare paintings hanging in museums, coins circulate among us. They pass through our hands daily, silently carrying the potential for extraordinary wealth. The 1978 Lincoln penny, with its blend of history, copper beauty, and potential for rare variations, represents that dream perfectly. So the next time you come across a penny from 1978, don't ignore it. Look closely. Examine Lincoln's portrait, the lettering, the date. Check for doubling, errors, or unusual features. Inspect the condition. Does it shine like it was just minted? Could it be uncirculated or even a proof coin? Remember, millions of these coins exist, but only a few hold the kind of rarity and perfection that could make them worth a fortune. Your penny might be just another coin to most people, but to the right collector it could be worth millions. The world of coin collecting teaches us one important lesson. Value is often hidden in plain sight. A coin as common as the 1978 Lincoln penny might not seem like much, but within its copper surface lies the chance for extraordinary wealth. That's why people keep searching, keep checking, and keep hoping, because somewhere out there one of these pennies could be the key to $1 million discovery.